Good evening, YouTube. It's 8 o'clock. It's Friday night. We are live from lockdown. We've got two firsts tonight. First is my guest. He's a guest who's never been on the channel before. In fact, there's three firsts because I'm not drinking dark fruits. I'm drinking something that's more or less exactly the same as dark fruits. I went to the off license after some stout and got none, so I've gone really risky and gone cherry and berry. And the final first is I've drunk a can before we've even gone on air, so it could be interesting because I'm going to get another one now because they're quite nice, actually. Who we got in the comments? Got to see a load of comments light up early. We got Tutu UK, good evening. Ginger Hippie Gaming, Sai, hello. Retro Bear Russ, hello. Retro Red Steve, again, joining us live. Bahaha. Zelda Pop, Bahaha's better half. Ha ha ha. We saw Gernaldinho play. He was the first comment. And, of course, Bill in the UK, that guy in the corner. Hope you're all well. Nerdy Geezer's just joined. Hope you've all been having a good week. I've worked moderately hard this week. I'm not even going to lie. I haven't fucking worked hard at all. But it's just that stage now where I'm just, because I can't do fuck all on the weekends. I don't know why I look forward to them. I think it's so I don't have to go to work. I am getting some systems fixed the weekend. I'm off to Coventry tomorrow to drop a Commodore 128 off and an Amstrad CPC 464. Because you know how I've always said I'm never having an Amstrad 464 in here because I ain't got the space. Well, I bought a wire to hook it up to the B&O and it was absolutely brilliant. And I've gone down that rabbit hole of fucking playing Amstrad games. And in fact, I've spoke to the guest who's on tonight about how I can get an Everdrive thing for it. So, good evening, Ink Northerner. So, yeah, there's potentially definitely going to be an Amstrad in the room. I've got some pickups to do. That'll be done the weekend. I'm going to record a pickups video. I'm waiting for Brandy to pull his finger out and send me parcel. Snoopy Man 79, hello. Anyway, you fucking never come to see me, do you? If I didn't host this, you wouldn't fucking listen to me. You wouldn't come and watch my shit. It's all about the guest. And he's a great guy. Newcastle, I believe, or fucking Durham, whatever that Geordie way is, via the Outer Hebrides. We are now joined by Paul Retro Bait. Can we confirm? Right, first things first. Can we confirm your name is Retro Bait?
It is Retro Bait. It is not Retro Bait, Retro anything else. It's just Retro Bait.
Because I always thought that. I always read it as that, and then everyone else seems to have fucking complicated it.
See, I think it's because in the northeast we say 8, so it's B8, so it's bait. But I think like other people, depending on where they live, if they say 8, then it's bite, and it doesn't really. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they get it.
A Brummie accent then.
Yeah, I'm awesome at accents. All right.
All right, mate. How am you?
All right.
I'd say Retro Bait, definitely, as in Retro Bait. Yeah, that's how I've always read it. But then I watched everyone else's stuff you've been on, and they all seem to complicate it. I'm like, sure to God, it's a simple fucking name.
Well, I say it at the beginning of every video, so what more can I do?
You know what? I've only literally got used to. I still every now and then do my intro to my video and still say the 83, and I've not had the 83 for over a year.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I've seen that there's a lot of stuff's like had that, like, and it even says it on your bio as well. Like you changed it. So
yeah, because Stu bullied me. He kept on. I didn't need the 83. Sorry. That was just to be honest, I don't know why. I think probably because back then there was a lot of dancers. I don't think YouTube used to let you have multiple of the same name. So I just took the 83 in at the end. Stu says numbers suck bollocks. I think the 8 can be allowed in your name because it's part of a word. I think we can let that one slide. That's for sure.
It is what it is. I was just sat there bored and I had to come up with a name and I couldn't think of anything. And then I was just thinking like reprobate. And I was like, if I could be like a retro bait. And I was like, yeah, fuck it, that'll do.
I think it's a great name. I'm surprised it wasn't already took, to be honest.
I think someone has, but oh well, never mind. Shit happens.
Ginger Hippie Gaming, Sai said he's keeping the 42. Is that because of your age, Si, when you started your channel? 42?
Nah, it's got to be. What's it called? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, I thought it might have been his year of birth. Was my second guess.
Year of birth. I can't believe he's younger than me.
He fucking doesn't look it, does he?
He's got a stressful job, has Si.
Stressful job, my ass. Trying to fix that telly I've given him, that's stressful.
Well, if he can't fix it, I've already offered to take it off his hands, because is that the little Sony job?
Yes. I've got one of them.
It looks really, really nice. I'd love one of them. I don't know where to put it. But
you know what? The Spectrum looks beautiful on it, and I've also played an N64 on it. Because I bought a job lot of them 3 years ago, and that was the one that didn't work, and it's just lived in my shed. Now I'll
nice,
tell the truth, right? Because literally, whenever I send someone like Goodwin's Place is one, and he'll say, "Oh, it looks like someone's had a look at that." I'll be honest now, it's normally fucking me, and I've not been able to fix it. Right? and there's always screws missing.
I've air dusted it. I've changed the fuse. Yeah, it's fucked.
There's always screws missing as well, because when I can't fix it, I just think, fuck it. If I can't find the screws, it means I've got less to undo when I decide to go back to it. But 100%, honest to God, because I don't know a fucking thing at all about tellies, I have not been inside that one. I actually thought it had no power box at all inside it. And I just thought,
oh my word,
that's why it's not working. I didn't even know the power box in there wasn't even hooked up.
Wow.
So when I said I hadn't touched that one, I was telling the truth.
It's amazing how many things you get that is listed as knackered, and it's not. Almost as many as untested that are knackered. Anything that's untested is knackered, and anything that is listed as knackered, it could be a genuine mistake. Do you know what I mean?
There's a guy who sells locally to me on the Facebook page. He's right too. He sells consoles, like obviously a bit on the side, like most of us, like, you know, buy stuff, sell it on, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
He's always selling stuff untested that I know he's got the fucking plug for. So why hasn't he tested it? And I even he'll have like a SNES for sale, and like he's got. I'm like, I know you've got a fucking plug for that. You've tried it, it's not working, and you've just put it as untested, so you don't get no comebacks.
The thing is, if it's untested, you just assume it's knackered. Do you know what I mean? So you're not gonna pay big bucks, are you? No. If you are, you're dumb. I suppose they'll probably get one every now and again. That's thick. It goes for it.
I used to buy untested bundles years ago, but it's not like that anymore. We've got a couple of questions anyway. I haven't even started my questions yet, but we'll go out the realm. And Retro Red Steve wants to know, question for Paul: has he finished the Ninja yet?
Well, that would be telling, wouldn't it? I don't know if I can release that information just yet. Nah, trust me, everyone would know if I finally completed that game, because it's one that it's got a lot of nostalgia for me. It was one of the few games that I ever played with my dad. And yeah, I saw him complete that game when I was like about, I don't know, 10 or 11 year old, and I was terrible at it back then. So I would just really, really want to try and like emulate him. Do you know what I mean? Like literally, it's the only game I've ever seen him complete. So I need to complete it. I will eventually one day complete it. But for now, I'm just seeing how high we can get on the high score challenge, which I'm looking forward to seeing. Retro Red Steve's tomorrow. He's releasing his video tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
What I will say is I own the Master System, and I had a ton of games for it. I didn't have the Ninja as a kid. How rare is that? Because I thought everyone had the Ninja.
Everyone, like if I had it, it must have been because everyone had it, because like we didn't have much money back then, so we just had like the proper commoners mug games. You know what I mean? So
I'd say it's up there with
Super
Sonic.
Tennis.
I'd say it's up there with Sonic, with the most common game that I find for the Master System, the Ninja.
Yeah. I'd probably have to agree, but it's a cracking little game. It's a good little shooter, and it's not overly hard, I don't think. But I don't know if I can say that because I've never actually finished it. Do you know what I mean? It's just I enjoy playing it.
Brilliant.
I got the Master System off Sound, and he actually chucked in the game for us as well. So cheers for that again, Si. It's a cracker.
Nice one. He's a good lad, Si. I won't say that too often, but I will say that once. Does B8 have a thermometer? How cold is it in the shed now? Well, I'll tell you. Let me just expose to it. It's not that cold because he's took his fucking sweater off.
Well, it's because I'm from the northeast. I can't have people thinking I'm wearing a jumper. Do you know what I mean? Like, you must have seen how lasses in the northeast go to pubs and stuff like that. Well, it's the same for the lads. We wear a t-shirt. It doesn't matter if it's snowing, if it's sleet. But whenever you do anything, you're just in your t-shirt. So that's why I'm down to my t-shirt. I'm fucking freezing. It's got to be. It feels about -15. I can't show you, but literally right between my legs here, I've got an oil radiator, which I'm huggling. I'm proper huggling it just to keep warm. But yeah, it's got to be, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 degrees, I would say. That's what it feels like.
It's cold out because I popped round the shop and I couldn't be asked to get dressed. I didn't even put any socks on. I put my trainers on and my shorts on. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And it's got to be cold.
It's lockdown. Honestly, during lockdown, I think everyone's let themselves go. Nobody gives a shit anymore.
If COVID's not going to get me, pneumonia isn't. Question from your mate, Si. What's your favourite game or console in your collection? Or both? Let's have one of each. Why not? Not all, both. So, favourite game, favourite console.
Wow. But are we including like micros in that, or is it just consoles?
I'm not going to be pedantic. We can have computers as well, home computers, micros.
My favourite computer is my Commodore 64 bread bin. I'm lucky enough to have a silver label, boxed, and it gets wheeled out every 6 months. I try it twice a year just to power it up and play a game in it, and then it goes back in the box, back inside. So that's me pride and joy. It is, definitely. As for game, God, I mean, even on one system, that changes. So, wow, out of everything, oh, Jesus. I really don't know. Yeah, it probably wouldn't be an old game. Like, if I could pick one game that I could play, like that I had to play from now till the end, I would probably go for something like Grand Theft Auto 5, just simply because within that game, there's so much you can do and there's different mini games within that game. But would I say it's my favourite game? I think my most nostalgic game's Commando for the Commodore 64 as well. Just the music and everything on that. And it was one of the first games I played when I was a kid. So if it was nostalgia, then it would be that one. But that's a super tough question.
What I'll say is I do feel a bit sad for you having to play on the Commodore 64 with all those dull colours when people like me have the Amstrad 464.
I've branched out. I also have a massive... I can see it. Oh, don't worry, I can see it in the corner of the room.
I like to. The one of mine that looks shitty and is dirty and horrible is the one that works. This one here... Of course! This one here that's pristine. I even opened it up and the board is fucking gleaming and it doesn't work. And the guy who's...
Here's the question. Are they both the same model?
No, because of what I just swapped to my house.
Oh, so you can't even swap. That's what I was going to say. That happened. Exactly the same thing happened to me. I saw another one. It was going cheap as chips, but it was absolutely gleaming. Bought it, and it was completely different. The plungers. Oh, I was like...
Even the little clip that
yeah.
Because the guy who's fixing it for me tomorrow, I'm fucking stupid because he goes to me, he goes, I think it's one of the chips. He goes, the way you'll tell is plug it in and touch the chips and it'll be hot.
That's right, yeah, if it's short.
It was fucking hot. Fucking like really hot.
You get this bit of your finger, this bit here, and you just like put it over the top and then just go just right, literally, so the hairs of your fingers touching it. That's how you test them.
That information would have been great to me on Wednesday.
Which finger is it, by the way?
This one here.
Oh, your lasses are going to be happy with that.
You know what, though? It was like the second chip, and because the second chip was hot, I was thinking, well, wonder
are they all that hot?
Yeah, so they are going through them. But then, to doubt myself, I went back to the second chip and back in on it.
Put a bit of spit on, and if it evaporates immediately, you know it's warm.
Yeah, I just messaged him. I said, "Yeah, one of the chips is quite warm."
Yeah, well, I mean, on a Commodore 64, I mean, like the SID chip, I mean, that one's hot anyway. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's really hard to tell.
He's fixing a Commodore 128 for me as well. So I got a 128.
I think Cyber Snake J is after a 128, by the way, if you're not keeping it.
I am going to move it on once I've got it fixed, but obviously that's got chips that need replacing.
Well, he actually said a while ago just to look out for one if I heard one come up, and I know that he's after one.
Right, I know Jay's minted as well, and he doesn't live too far, so I'll drop him a message.
It'll be there tomorrow.
No sooner it's fixed. Question from Sega Zombie: the best 8-bit micro indie game, Homebrew.
The best 8-bit micro. Oh, so he wants to know. Well, right,
the Homebrew he's after.
It's definitely not the Amstrad. The Amstrad I've had serious issues like finding any homebrew for. I mean, he wants me to choose between Commodore and Specky here, doesn't he? And as much as I love the Spectrum, I would still have to go with a Commodore 64. Just because we're getting a lot of cartridge games released as well, and like the cartridge games, you can save onto them, they load straight away. You always get a real nice box set. But so I'd say like you maybe you get like 3 or 4 of them a year if you're lucky. So like they're really awesome. But for the Spectrum, there just seems to be a constant flow of absolutely fantastic homebrew games coming out. Whereas I think for me the Commodore 64, the more few and far between, but they really hit the spot. But I think there's just more people programming for the ZX Spectrum still, and I think that overall, you could say the Spectrum would be ahead because it's just got a constant flow of awesome homebrew games that are coming out, whereas the 64, the fewer and more far between, but I think the better overall.
I was going to say, because I know my mate Ant Harper, retro games collector, he's big into his Spectrum and his homebrews and stuff like that, so he definitely...
I don't even know if I answered that question, really, but it's just
you gave an opinion. That's all we need. What I'd say, guys, is if we can hold questions for a bit, I'm going to answer the ones that have been asked now because I want Paul to be able to tell us our story. Because like everyone else who come on the lockdown stream, I want to know Paul's gaming history. But we'll just rattle off these few questions first, Paul, if that's all right.
I go for it.
Sega Zombie wants to know what thermal do you recommend in sub-zero temperatures?
I'm not sure what they're called because they're our lasses, so I'll have to ask her.
Mrs. leggings, am they?
Pretty poly or something, she said, I think.
Just wear Jade's Tetris leggings, Scott. That's what you need to do, is get Jade's Tetris leggings on.
They are awesome, aren't they? They're awesome, them. Like, I've seen them. They're brilliant.
I'd probably wear them at a play Blackpool because I have no dignity anyway. From Si, are you going to use the 3D printer tonight?
Yes, I am. It's the weekend.
I think Si is secretly building a house from his 3D printer.
Did you know someone put up a picture? I think it was. I'm sure it was when you were still on the WhatsApp group. Didn't someone actually print a whole house? I'm sure someone printed a whole house.
It's got to be
in America, though.
It's got to be in America, innit?
It's got to be in America.
The weekly question has come up. If you had to live with another YouTuber, who would it be and why? Running water, Lecky on tap is obviously a bonus.
Yeah, it is up here. Like, yeah. I think the other bonus is that I also think Stella Artois might be on tap as well, because I would definitely DOS at Dave Birdsall's house. I would definitely be in there. Me and him could just drink shitloads of Stella and play that racing game. You know, the one where he sets up all the TV screens. I'm sure it's on the Xbox. And he's got like the feedback steering wheel. And I've watched a couple of videos of him doing that. And I wish I could have that in my house. I just think it looks awesome.
I'd love to have Dave's address to ring the local police and report him for drink driving, man, and have him come round his fucking house and pull him over in his free screen. He's just turned up in the chat, actually. He's still got the notification of being the Oliver Reed of the lockdown streams when he was on it.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I'm really looking forward to going back and seeing it now.
Oh, yeah, you've got to go and watch it back. Me and Marcus, dads and lads, we suffered Dave that night. Again from Sega Zombie. what's the best looking 8-bit computer in your opinion?
Well, that's quite an easy one for us to answer because it only arrived last week or the week before. And I got it from Cy Owen. So, Cy, you'll know what I'm about to show here. But me personally, I think this thing is just perfect.
See, now I think that's fucking ugly, that one.
I love it. I just think it's the right size. It's black. It's got the cool logo right in the bottom. It's small. The buttons feel nice to press. For me, I think that's the best design one out of the lot.
I'll tell you what I've been interested in seeing. In fact, I've supplied both the Spectrums that are going to be chopped up. One to Basabi James and one to Cy Owen, where they're taking the tape deck off the +2 and then making that into a Spectrum. Like just they're taking the tape deck off and just making it into one similar to that, but obviously a +2 shape. So that
cool.
Not nice bit of kit. A few questions, couple from Wouter, the Highlander over in Holland. Can you program on the C64? Now I know Wouter can.
No chance. No chance. In fact, I do want to learn to program. Again, we've been talking about things like that on the Homebrew Facebook group. But yeah, I'm going to program. I wanted to program for the Spectrum just because it looks a bit easier than what it does for the Commodore 64. I don't know. I got me. Like you get a booklet with the Commodore 64, and I used to be able to make their screen change different colors and get all the like short programs, but I haven't done that for like 25 30 years. So there's no way I could do it now. It'll be like starting from scratch again. I wish I could.
See, Wouter obviously programs on the C64, but as someone in England, I always only saw the Spectrum or the BBC Micro as for programming. When I look at a Commodore and an Amstrad, I just think of gaming. Although they were all bought out for the same reason, programming was massively pushed on both those systems, especially the Micro with Thatcher was putting it in the schools, weren't it? She wanted us all to learn programming.
Yeah, I remember I used the Micro myself as a kid, and we used to be like math games and shit like that, and we didn't have any fun on them at all.
You know what? I was just about to say, like, looking back now, I wish I'd been more interested in programming as a kid. But it's a classic case of school making you do something and making it boring as fuck.
Yeah, totally agree.
And I found a lot of that with education anyway. Like, the only thing I was ever really into was maths, and that's because my dad drummed it into me. You need maths to work hard if your boss is ripping you off at work. So I did all right at maths. But English, I can honestly say I was never interested in. I used to blag reading books because I hated it. Yet when I left school and I got books like fucking on footballers and fucking serial killers is my other interest. I'll sit and read them because it's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So for me, it would be more productive at school if they go, instead of putting everyone in a big clump and you've all got to read the same book, give you all something interesting to read and let you develop doing something interesting. And that's what I think was the same with programming. They made it that fucking boring. I had no interest in it at the time.
I'm exactly the same. When something's pushed on you, you kind of rebel. Then I've got the perfect example. I was in the army for like 7 to 8 years. And the whole time I was in the army, I tried my hardest to avoid any physical activity that I had to do. Like these mad runs, log runs, and you marching and running for like nine miles and shit like that. And I tried my hardest to get out of it every time. As soon as I left the army, I joined a gym and then running. I've done the London Marathon and I've done I've done about 7 Great North runs. Do you know what I mean? Because I didn't have someone tell me that you have to do this. Do you know? And I was like, do you know what? Maybe I should actually start looking after myself a bit better. So I started doing stuff like that. But then I had kids and it all went to shit again.
I think that's the thing though. When you discover something and you want to do it for yourself, you do it.
Exactly.
Whereas exactly the same at school, man. Like, I look back now and I think I wish I hadn't fucked about as much. That's the main thing I think. but I also blame probably
Don't
the
we all?
education system for not like making it fun for me to. Because like when I look at what kids do now, it's a lot more fun than when I was fucking having it full.
Whoa. You've never done homeschooling with me. They ain't no fun. Not when you're being ex-army.
Brilliant. I've got
I
a
think
few
my
more
kids
questions.
are the only ones who can't wait to go back to school. Like, fucking get me out of here.
Well, my Misty's lad, he's 17, so he was like he missed out on doing his GCSEs, and he chose to do like
What?
PE and stuff and everything at like college. How do you do PE at home as a regular fucking thing?
I don't know. We got Paige, who's the second eldest. We had to go for a walk and take a stepometer thing, a pedometer, and count that you've done 10,000 steps for at least one day. And we had to take some photos. I don't think we've done either.
You know, we got a ton more questions. Nerdy Geezer says, "Have you got a C64 disc driver?"
I've got 3. I've got 2 knackered ones that me 1702 monitor sits on. I used to get a load of abuse if I took any photos and put them on the Commodore 64 group. Everyone used to be like, "Oh, you can't have your monitor there. You're fucking destroying the disk drives." And I'm like, they're knackered. Like, they're beyond repair. It's literally, they're there to put me monitor on. That's why they're there. But I have got a working one here, which I do keep upkeep of it.
Is that the big beastie long one?
Yeah, like, and probably fuck me, I've actually got 2 here. I just realised there's another one. Honestly, sometimes I find stuff in the shed, and about 2 months ago, I found a massive box. It had a Commodore 64 in, like, a shitload of games, and I didn't even know this box was in the shed. I'd put that much shit on top of it. It'd been there. I think it'd been there nearly 6 months. But yeah,
I'm the same. I go in my shed and I find stuff that I've bought another one of because I forgot I'd bought the last one. Like,
well, I remember seeing you the other day. I was like, fucking hell. I was like, you've got more shit in your shed than what I have. Look at the size of this. I mean,
I had one exactly the same. I sold mine to Cine Steve. I think I sold it to him because he wanted to test a Gauntlet game or something.
Well, this one's still got the
collector's item that is. I've got one for the Tabletop, which is apparently really rare.
Yeah, they're pretty hard to get hold of. But I've seen someone making photocopies and selling cardboard versions of them on eBay. And if you're on eBay, guys, warn it to you. If you're buying cartridge games for the Commodore 64, double check them, because I got sold a fake one over Christmas. And I managed to send it back and get a refund. So if it's too good to be true, it probably is for cartridge games.
That is the classic case. I mean, a lot of proper sellers now, if they're selling a high-end game, they know to open up the board and show you, really. Because
the problem is with the Commodore 64 ones,
they solid?
The screw is like here underneath.
Under the label.
So it's easy to make a fake one because obviously you put your fake. Well, you can open it up because you don't give a shit for whatever it is and then they make the fake game, put the new sticker over the top. So to that, you would never know. But this one was like brand new. It was just ridiculous. It was just so obvious. Like,
you put it in the Discord group, didn't you?
Yeah, I was proper pissed off. Like,
have you got Navy SEALs cartridge for the Commodore 64?
Yeah. I've got pretty much all of them. The only ones I'm missing is obviously the Holy Grail, which is Double Dragon. And I think there might have been one more. I'm not sure. Paul Badham would know. Mr. Bad's games. Like he's into his cartridges. He would know. But I think I'm only missing 1 or 2. And I missed out on one nearly about a year ago now, and it went up for 50 quid. It was on a Saturday morning. I was sat in the front step having a broom, and I just thought 50 quid, and I was like, And then when having that double thought, too late, it had gone immediately. It was, but then it was probably a fake anyway, so never mind.
Sometimes you've just got to buy it in, yeah. But the only reason I ask because I know I've got a copy of that game in my shed. Because I've seen it the other day.
I did actually have a spare one, but I sent it to Sion. That was one of the things that we swapped for the Spectrum. That and a few PlayStation games on the swap shop.
Nice one. We've got a question from Retro Red Steve. Will Paul be doing more Master System challenges, and will Dana have a go? But I'll let you ask first before I answer, because my answer could be null and void if you say no.
Well, yeah, let's do it, man. I love the Master System. You see, for me, because I always had like Commodores and stuff like that, I didn't really have any consoles. So the only console that I did have for maybe about 6 months was the Master System. So, and I did buy a few games for it, so I've got a bit of nostalgia for it. So yeah, I do enjoy playing the Master System, and lucky enough to have one of them, like an Evercade kind of cartridge. I mean, I do collect like the actual games as well. Like I've got the light gun, and I think maybe we could try maybe Operation Wolf next, something like that. That's pretty decent on the Master System.
I will say Master System is my favourite system, to be honest. It
really?
was growing up.
Nice.
I fucking love the Master System. I always tell the story, right? I can fucking mention his name. It's got to be about 10 years ago. I was working with a good mate who I used to go to school with. I got him a job. In fact, he might be near 15 years. Name's Dwayne. I still see him now at the toy fair because he sells there. But we went to school together and everything. But at the time, he was with his ex-missus. And he said, "Oh, can I borrow your Master System? Me and Mrs. will play it together." So I lent him about 50 games. Now, this is my only original collection that I still had from a kid.
Oh, no.
But I left it with them for ages. Like, they was together like 5-6 years. And then they split up. And then...
Oh, no.
Well, I'll ask him who's got my Master System. So I asked Dwayne. And he says, "Oh, she's got it." So I asked her. And she says he's got it. So out of them two breaking up, I'm not bothered about their fucking heartbreak or anything. I lost my Master System.
That is one of your Master System, don't you?
Yeah, because it had,
which one did you have? Which one did you have?
It was a Master System 2. It was my original one. Alex Kidd built in. But I had
cracking game as well, that, by the way. I used to love that game.
Brilliant game. I had Rocky, right? And I had, the rapid fire that you could plug into the controller.
No.
Because that was there's like a little rapid fire. It's like a square box with your pin in, and it's like a pass through from the system to the car.
I've seen it.
To the joypad, right? Well, I had that because it was the only way I could beat Ivan Drago and get the scores on the finger, right? So I was more pissed off that I've lost that because I never got another one of them, and I can't remember what games I had. But I'm not bitter about it. But answer the question. If you're going to do challenges, Master System is a bugger because I've got to find an RF telly to set it up on. But if I can emulate it, I've got a couple of ways I might be able to emulate it. So if you can emulate the game and I can record it, I'll have a go.
You can also, if you just Google it, you can actually get an online emulator where you can, if you plug it, if you're on there with a laptop, just plug a joystick in, screen record, and away you go. And you don't need to even download the emulator. You play it in Flash on the actual website.
Okay, that's quite interesting.
That's what I put on the bottom of the Ninja High Score Challenge. I've put everyone a link for an emulator and the ROM, and there's an online Flash version. So literally, there's no excuse.
Fair play.
That's the best I can do. I can't wipe anyone's arse any better than that.
Right, this is going to be the last question before I let you answer my question I have for you. What has Paul done? Not he, because I'm not fucking rude, Mark Burnt Out Culture. What's he done to the shed to game-proof it? So in other words, I can see behind you that you've clearly insulated and lagged it somehow, I'm guessing. The walls anyway.
Yeah. All the walls are insulated. I think it's called Kingspan. But I was going to say there may be other brands available. But anyway, so yeah, it's got that stuff in and then just ply over the top. I've done the roof again, but I need to put some insulation in the roof because obviously, where does the heat escape? The roof, which is the only bit I haven't finished. The roof, because to do all this, I did have it set up a little bit different before, and I had to get a couple of days. I knew it was going to be nice weather to take everything out to work in here, everything back in, was an absolute nightmare. But my wife helped us loads with it. She supplied us loads of cups of tea. What more could you need? And yeah, we got it done. And I think like after summer, because I've still got a little bits to finish, like the roof I say. But after that, I think that's it. We'll be sorted, and it'll be a bit. I'll be able to sit here in a t-shirt all the time, no matter what the weather.
You know, the only disadvantage with that Kingspan stuff though is in the
summer.
The
Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah, because of the foil. Yeah, it pings the.
That's why I've had a nightmare with it.
But also, you know that in the summer it's going to be fucking red hot in there as well.
Mate, it's like an oven. Well, yeah. All right. Well, you've got to take the rough with the smooth, I suppose. So do you know what? I'm just going to enjoy it. It'll be like a little steam room. I can always leave the door open.
I'm just going to answer Dylan's question, then I've got a question for you. For Dana, did he manage to fit the mass system? Do you like Gear Class? No, because I've only got the mass system 2. I'd like a mass system 1.
Yeah,
because of the RGB out. The RGB out, but
I like it for the cards. Have you seen the little cards you can get? The card games.
Yes.
I managed to get one.
Like the PC Engine cards.
Yeah, it's just like a little credit card sort of thing, and you can slide it into the fun. I've got it may have been Spy versus Spy. I think it is. That'd be another good challenge. That what a cracking game that is. I had that on the Commodore 64, where you're setting up traps for the other player, and it's just a cracking 2-player game. Probably one of the best from the 8-bit days of my.
I was always shit at it as a kid because I was probably a bit too young to understand.
I was shit at it. The only thing I could do was set up the bucket of water over the door. Like I can't even remember how. I don't think I ever got to the airport and got the aeroplane ever. Not until maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Watching the other player do it. That's all I did. Running around aimlessly, much like I do in the rest of my life.
It's fun watching them, though, isn't it?
Definitely.
You just sit back and chill out. Fuck it, I'll just let you do it.
Also, I did see a question earlier. I can't highlight it. It was from Vouter. But where do you get these homebrews from? So just a few of the places, because we'll talk a bit more about homebrews later. But just in case Vouter has to go, I want to get him that information.
So, like as we were saying before earlier, Bum Fun Gaming, which is I know it's great when you type it into your Google search engine. Just delete your history. And try not to get distracted from what you're actually meant to be looking for. So yeah, first one's Bum Fun, and then I use Bitmap Soft as well. They have got a sister website, but I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called because I only found out about it the other day. For the Commodore 64, I definitely recommend Cytronic. They're pretty decent. And obviously you've got like RGCD who do like various cartridge games. You've got the Future was 8-bit. They knocked them out as well. You've got a place called Chronosoft. Is that the one that Side's big into? Chronosoft. Yeah, that and the Future was 8-bit. I think he's getting a delivery, but like they do a lot of VIC-20 and Commodore 16 as well. A lot of them are multi-format, but a lot of them will sell more Spectrum than anything else. A lot of them will sell more like Commodore 64 than anything else, a bit like Cytronic. But at the same time, if anyone out there knows of like any really good Amstrad homebrew that's available, then try and let us know because like I'm definitely looking for Amstrad. Like it's the only computer that I haven't played any homebrew on yet on my channel, and it's just sat there. Do you know what I mean? Like I want an excuse to set it up.
In the Discord. There's a guy called Novabug, Chris. He's got a channel called Novabug. He's big into the Amstrad. If he doesn't know, he might know someone who does know, so it might be worth tagging him in. And
I messaged them direct on the Discord, and really helpful. And I have found a lot of homebrew, but it's actually getting the physical releases. Right. So there is homebrew out there, but there just doesn't seem to be as many people like publishing the games that I want. You know what I mean? And I like to have. I like to have something. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a collector, so even though it's new,
that's where when you mentioned Bum Fun Gaming, which is George Cropper who runs Funky Spectrum, that's basically what he does. He he gets the homebrews from the people who create them, and he creates a physical version. It's not like he's a programmer or anything. He goes to those people who are programming.
He's like a middleman.
He's the one who makes the physical content for people to buy, sort of thing.
He's the middleman, but I suppose he's like the the release. Or
for him, there wouldn't be no one else bothering doing it, and I'm guessing there's not anyone in the Amstrad community at the moment who's doing that, or not that we know of, sort of thing. Like,
not on the same scale, and it's a shame because there is one game that I'm after at Bitmaps off for the Amstrad, but it's sold out straight away. So I mean, if it's sold out, then that says to me that there's a market there for it. So hopefully they're going to get some in March, end of March, they said. So I'm really looking forward to getting a copy. I even sent an email saying, look, have you got one lying around or just anything? You know what I mean? I'm like, I really want to try this game. Do you know what I mean? And they were like, we literally have none, but we're going to do another rerun of it because it was quite popular. So, you know, if it's popular for them.
See, because the Amstrad gets a bit of stick in this country, mainly because of Alan Sugar and people's opinion on him. Like,
it's because they just ported so many specky games where they didn't actually do anything. And do you know what? When they've ported them, the Spectrum done it better because it was designed for the Spectrum. When they ported them, it's shit. They didn't put any effort in. It's too easy for them.
But the main thing is, the games that they actually did themselves, and with the colour palette, were brilliant. As you say, it was the lazy Spectrum ports that were waste. But a lot of the flack is as well, I think, due to a lot of people's opinion of Alan Sugar. But in Europe, where Alan Sugar's not an issue, like Portugal, France, the Amstrad was massive.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of stuff goes out into out into Europe when I've shifted Amstrad stuff on before, because that's what makes me think maybe there is someone doing the physical things, but they're not based in this country. If you know,
what?
They're not on that radar.
It's a really good point, mate. I'll definitely look into that because,
it might be worth asking in the Amstrad group that you said, because I asked about the DDI3 in that group.
Was it Peter Banage or someone like that, wasn't it? Oh.
What I noticed, it was all like European names who were replying to me. So maybe if you ask a similar sort of question in there, it's got a big pull of like people who are based in mainland Europe who may know the answer, sort of thing. Like,
for sure. I mean, like when you say about the color palette for the Amstrad, it's the best. Like when I first got the Amstrad, I had a green screen, and I'd only had a green screen I didn't have one, but my mate only had a green screen. And when I got hold of I think it was a lad called Rob Fletcher, I think, or on Facebook, he had like a color screen. I bought it off him. It was shipped at my own kind of risk. Got here, it worked. But I tell you what, when I plugged it in and I seen the colours that the Amstrad uses like firsthand, it puts the other systems to shame, like in that regard. Obviously, that and you've got the poor thing like the scrolling, but there's a lot like I have seen some homebrew games when I've been watching videos about it on YouTube, where the scrolling's actually okay. So it makes you wonder, like, well, if one programmer can do it, like, why couldn't everyone else? Because that's what it gets a lot of grief for, isn't it? Like the scrolling.
Again, I think a lot of it goes back to is everyone used to, like, even with the, as you say, with the Specky ports, it's because everyone saw a Specky as the system to do the programming on.
Yeah.
And not the Amstrad.
You can't really blame them. I mean, people, we're meant to be lazy. If we weren't lazy, we would never have invented the wheel, as far as I'm concerned. So, do you know what I mean? We like to kick back and chill, and we'll find the best way of doing that, or getting paid for doing fuck all. Do you know what I mean? Whatever comes first. If you can do that, then everyone's happy.
But Sai saying in the comment, I know when I spoke to him, he never realised how good the Amstrad was because he only ever seen a green screen. If you can find the game, like I think Dragon Ninja is a really Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja. The Amstrad port, I think, is better than the NES. I used to like playing that. Also, Chase HQ, I always say. Rainbow Island looks beautiful as well.
One game I was massively disappointed with was Turrican. It just didn't work for me on the Amstrad at all. But for me, do you know what I like on the Amstrad? I like RoboCop. I think RoboCop's really decent. Another
game I played a shit ton as a kid, that was.
me and my brother-in-law, can I just give him a bit of a mention? He's just started his own YouTube channel. It's called Retro Tech, and me and my brother-in-law, like, he's got a bit of Spectrum love and what have you. And we had set up the Commodore 64, the Spectrum, and the Amstrad all running RoboCop at the same time. So we could try like all three, do you know what I mean, at the same time. And yeah, we've never done it since. Like, it was a lot of effort for not much gaming. Right, yeah. Okay,
so just shout his channel out again. How's it spelled? Because I'm imagining Retro Tech is.
Yeah, it's RETOTEK.
Sound. So if
drop the C.
Give me a link, I'll drop a link in the description later as well. So
yeah,
finally,
you love that.
No worries. Finally, after 45 minutes, I'm going to get to my first question that I used to ask everyone on the lockdown streams.
I told you I talk a lot.
He's lot with the questions, even when I asked them to slow down. They carried on. I was just going to say, enjoy your evening at work, big gamer. But Paul, what I used to do, we want to know your gaming history. So that's like everything from when you was a kid up until cut it off when you become a collector. That'll be a separate question. So just tell us your gaming history, your experiences, like in the arcade, whatever.
So arcades, not so much really. Like I don't know, but we didn't massively go into the arcades. But when we did, there'd be one game that I'd always go to, and that was Operation Wolf. Just like when I was a kid, my dad kind of let us watch the Terminator or some of it, and you know, I'm watching Uzi, I'm watching Arnold Schwarzenegger running around shooting motherfuckers with an Uzi, and you know that kind of imprints on you when you're like 9 years old. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. As soon as I seen Operation Wolf, I'm like, oh my god, it's an Uzi. You've got a bit of kickback. So without a shadow of a doubt, like when it comes to arcades, that was the number one. I also used to like the Afterburner, but I've never actually been in the one, you know, that spins round, you know, the one that's in Terminator 2. Have you ever been in one of them or what?
I didn't really see when those were in the arcade. I was probably a little bit too little to be going in those sort of ones unattended sort of thing, like. But I was more of like I used to like the stand-up cards, WrestleFest. I used to put a shit ton of money into that. WWF,
Wonder Boy,
Superstars. I used to like playing the older stuff like as well because like it was more simple for me at the time. And then obviously as I got a bit older, it was Gurney's found your brother's page. He's already set a link in.
Oh, nice one. Thank you.
I used to play Ninja Turtles because I was a massive Ninja Turtles fan. Also The Simpsons. Alien versus Predator was a game I really enjoyed in the arcade. And Michael Jackson's Moonwalker was a great game as well. Like any of those.
Strangely enough, it is actually a really decent game. I tried to not like it, but in the end I was like, oh, it's actually not that bad. It's one of them games where like yeah, you probably had to be there to enjoy it at the time. Like you probably couldn't play it now and go, oh, this is good. But back in them days, it was actually decent.
I've got to put that question up quick. Are you drinking red wine from a Stella Chalice tonight? Classy move.
I have been rumbled. Simply because it kind of looks like a wine glass.
But a bit more manly.
But it's just like, it's a proper man. It's a proper wine glass. Happy Friday.
Brilliant. Yeah, so if that's your arcade history, so your home experiences,
yeah,
well, you know.
arcade history. It was more like the home computers for me. I remember my mum and dad got this like kind of Pong clone sort of thing for the TV. It didn't work half the time. I think it worked on the same signal as the video recorder. And like my mum and dad were just like kind of obsessed with recording TV shows and watching them later because they thought it was cool. They probably could have watched them, but they just thought it was cool to record it, watch some of the shite, and then watch that later. So the machine didn't go in very often. And I used to go to my friend's house, a guy called Terry McNally. He was my best friend when I was a kid, and I remember one Christmas he was like, oh, because we all went to like each other's houses and stuff like that after Christmas to see what your mates got and that. And we went to his house and he had a Commodore 64 and he had like, I think he had like 3 or 4 games. He had 2 cartridge games, international soccer and golf. and I've got both of them. In fact, I've got every release of international soccer. It's a shit game, but it was the first football game I ever played. And there's like, I think it's 3 or 4 different ones, and it's just one of them things that I needed to have because I don't know which one it is that I played. So I wanted them all, so that's why I got them. And I got golf, and the other 2 games was it was Predator, and the last one was Impossible Mission. But for me, I'm sure we played Impossible Mission first. And when the game loaded up after like the second or third attempt, we got, for the first time in my life, I heard computerized, digitized speech. And it was like, another visitor, stay a while, stay forever. And at that exact moment is when I knew I had to have a Commodore 64. I was like, that is what I need. And I fucking badgered my mum and dad to hell. And I must have done a pretty good job because I did get a Commodore 64. And that was my first computer. And before that was my first experience. When I did get it, I got an absolutely terrible pack. I think it was called the Split Personalities pack. And it had like a Jeffrey Archer game on there. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't great. It wasn't great. But luckily, Term Ali being my best friend, he gave us international soccer and golf, and he may have figured out how to use his mum and dad's recorder and record a few games on a few black
a bit of video piracy going on there.
There may have been, but yeah, I mean, back in those days, my main games income was magazines. I couldn't believe.
Oh, is your mic right by your hand or something?
Oh no, it's over here.
Okay, because when you lean forward, I'm getting a bit of static. I want everyone to be able to hear you.
I'll sip. If it's because my bad looks are spoiling the camera, you can just see me. I can take one on the chin. How about this? Is this okay? I'm loud as fuck as well.
I was just getting a bit of static, and I didn't know if it was off the mic or anything. I just wanted people to be able to hear your stories.
So yeah, the first Commodore pack I got wasn't great, but my main game income at the time, I started buying Zap 64, Commodore format. There was a few different Commodore 64 mags, and they all had cover tapes on, and they would have like 2 or sometimes even 3 or 4 full games and had demos on. And like for the first probably year, it was just purely magazines that I used to get the games from. And then I think I got my first ever Hit Squad game. It was just like, it was a big like turning like spindle of like lots of different games. And I remember one of the games that my friend Terry McNally had was Platoon. And I remember buying Platoon, and that was the first ever Hit Squad game I bought. And I never realized that 30 odd years later it would turn as into like a Hit Squad collector. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, getting back to then, I think I started secondary school, and a lot of my friends there, they all had Amigas and Amiga 500s, and when I saw how easy it was, like for them to exchange games and swap games and get blank discs, and like I just thought, right, it was almost the same feeling as for the Commodore 64. I had that. I have to get this computer, and yeah, I got myself a paper round and plus Christmas, and sold the Commodore 64, and that plus whatever my mum put towards it, got me Amiga 1200. That was like the one that was out at the time. I completely missed like the 500 and the 500 plus, but I was always at my mate's house playing it anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I never really missed out on anything. I just lived at his, and so I got one. But basically, do you know what I mean? So yeah, that was when I got the Amiga 1200. But I mean, if you know anything about the history of Commodore, when the 1200 came out, it was like in its decline, really. Even though that was for me like the peak, the 1200. I rate the 1200 above the CD32, just like, you know, usability wise. It's the same thing essentially, but I prefer the Amiga 1200. Although, I mean, I have owned a couple of CD32s. My last one's actually in the London Computer Museum. I sold it to them. It was an absolutely cracking example. It was perfect. But, yeah.
I got my CD32. I always say this because it pisses everyone off. It was about 2018. It was off a boot sale for £10 with the controller. Just lying on the floor. I always say the story because I go booting with my mate Liam.
Here's the question I have to ask you now. But what did you think of the controller?
Shit, man.
It's fucking shit. But it's got shoulder buttons. What more could you want?
It's fuck. I don't even think I use it, but I remember seeing it and I saw this guy bending
Get
down.
yourself a Honeybee. Honeybee controllers are so much better and they work as well. They're good.
I might ask for a link for that. I saw this guy bending down and I thought he was going to get it. And
you straight in.
I literally dived on it, but this chap was after he was after some DVD player that was over the back of it, like a £10 DVD player.
Get out of my fucking way.
Oh, mate.
Underneath him. I'm under him like that, trying to get it from underneath. Trying to give him a reach around. No, I just...
My mate Liam says he's never seen me move so quick in my life. He said if he'd have gone your way, he'd have been on the deck on the tarpaulin. But I expected it not to work, so I bought a power supply off eBay for 30 quid, and it works fine. But I never experienced the Amiga back in the day at all, so I've got
to be fair, never trust the Commodore PSU. Guys, if anyone watching has got a Commodore 64, definitely get yourself a power saver or look for a new way of powering your Commodore 64. I've had two in the last probably 3 years, which might not sound many, but I've had two that's been wiped out just by a faulty PSU. I would never ever plug a Commodore PSU in without a power saver. It'll save you, honestly, they might cost about 15 quid, but it'll save you so much shit in the future. And they're only getting worse.
I'm always wary about plugging any of the 8-bit or any of the home computers' power supplies in to the system.
Oh, totally.
They're notoriously shit, aren't they? The ones from China that you can get are better than the ones that...
It's true. I mean, look at the GX4000. The GX4000, like, there's more been wiped out by the power, by the power plug, the transformer, than anything else.
Yeah, I saw a lad pick one up. Oh, what's his name now? Oh, his channel name. I was talking about him earlier. Stu will write in the comments the lad's name, and I said he got one and he got the power pack, and the first thing I written is fucking hell, don't plug that in. See that power supply? Find the nearest open window and fucking launch it as far as you can.
The one I've got, I got from Lethal only, and it's boxed. Like it's got everything, the warranty, it's perfect. It's even got the PSU in there, boxed, and it's got a little bit of tape over on the PSU, and it hasn't even been opened. The first thing I done was went on eBay and bought like a one for 4 quid from China. And it's I would never plug that one in. Yeah, PSU's is shit.
That's who it was. Get to know. Lurking in the comments till I mentioned him, I noticed. But yeah, he's picked up a lovely box one as well.
Oh, is that who it was? Yeah.
I've got one, but it doesn't fucking work. So someone's obviously some idiots obviously plug the power supply in for it.
You probably bought it as untested. And maybe in the one I sold.
In fact, I didn't pay for it. I was giving it by Liam because he didn't know what it fucking was.
So where it just looks like a snow speeder out of the fucking Return of the Jedi. Honestly,
it's not a bad looking unit, is it at all?
It really is. It really is. Have you played it? Like, have you played it much, or have you not played one?
None at all, because the one I got didn't work. I've got games. I've got one game. I'll tell you what. I say games.
It's not Burnout, is it? The one that comes with it?
No, this was from my local servers. Barbarian 2.
Barbarian 2. Oh, the bit of wolf on the front.
Yes. What's it called? I paid £5 from this for the local cash converters because I didn't know what it was.
Man, I got a bargain once from cash converters. If you collect cartridges on the Commodore 64, there was one, and it was Ninja Remix. It's a System 3 cartridge, but it's like the last Ninja 2, but it's like they've redone it, and it's a cracking game. I've actually got a spare copy of it, but I'm not sure if it's going to Cybersnake G or Scion. I'm not sure who wants it. One of them wants it, but anyway, I think it was just after my birthday, and I was walking past it, and I never seen anything in there ever worth buying. And then I saw Last Ninja Remix on the Commodore 64, fully boxed, 60 quid. Fuck me, I couldn't get in there fast enough to give them the money, and I bought it. I played it. I got absolutely nowhere near completing it. It's fucking solid. You can't cheat in it because it's a cartridge game. And I end up selling it on eBay, and I think I sold for about 240 quid or something like that. I put it on. I think I went to Finland or Norway, or it was somewhere over there, and I put it on for bids, and it just went mental. It's I couldn't believe how much I got for it. Do you know what I mean?
Cash Converters is the place for gems. I'm just about to devastate Retro Bear, though, because if he doesn't know this information, if he's not read the local papers, Cash Converters Stourbridge, the good one, is closing its doors forever, and everything's
is closed? Literally, about 3 or 4 weeks after that happened, I went back to see if there was any more, because to make it worse, he told me that they had shitloads downstairs that they hadn't put for sale yet of someone's house. They're just being sold it all, and they had loads in the basement. And he was like, "Come back in a few weeks." He says, "And I'll put it all out." I went back, and it was fucking closed, and it's never been back. I was like, "Is it still in the basement?"
Boyle's Stourbridge is the good one that had all the retro in. Dudley wasn't as good, man, but they've shut it down, man, and it's been there forever. So I know Retro Bear goes there, so we got it. But have you ever been into Cash Converters when someone's like trading a load of shit in? Fucking hell, it's worse than CEX. This woman was like,
really?
Oh, man, really, like the stuff she was trading in. Like, I was going to give her a $5 to take it to the fucking tip. I was like, just fucking throw it away. Like, literally, there was these speakers, like little fucking speakers that were covered in like fluff and sticky. And I was just thinking, just throw it away. I'll give you a £5 now, and I'll take it to the bin.
There's £10 to just fuck off.
I've just broke the news to Retro Bear. He's fucking gutted because I know he goes in there.
I couldn't believe I'd only been in once before. I picked up that, and I picked up Gaza 2 or something, Shadow Dancer, US Mercs, I think, all on like the Kicks big box editions for the Commodore 64. I was only paying $1.99 each. And I was like, fucking hell, like I've still got them in my collection now. They're absolutely perfect. I need to get in that basement down there, I tell you. Honestly, he said he's like, the basement's full of this stuff. He's like,
see, the problem with Cash Converters is they're all franchises, in there. Then there's no big company, so if they just decide to go, they go.
For me, like, if they made a website and tried to catalog their stuff, I mean, they must have a catalog, because like when they scan it in, it comes up what it is.
They used to put stuff on.
Really? It's not like a website, is it? Where you can it's just shit. I've tried it; it just doesn't work.
They used to do it on Spock as well. They'd advertise stuff under Cash Converters, Sedgley, and not Sedgley, Black.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can find them. It depends how proactive the people are who are working for that franchise. So I gather like people like the managers get rewards on sales, so they're going to try and push it like on Facebook. They'll list on Spock. I know they used to anyway at the Stourbridge one, definitely, because I'm gutted because I had quite a good deal with them. They'd trade me in anything and beat CEX by £1. So basically, anything.
What more did you ask for?
CEX used to overtest shit. I'd take it to Cash Converters and they'd give me an extra £1.
Nice.
So,
I like that. I'm even more. You've managed to even make me more gutted that my Cash Converters is closed. I didn't think it would get any worse until now.
Before we move on from the Amiga, Vouter just wants to know what wine are you drinking?
So normally I drink.
2012 was a great year. 2012 was a great year.
Oh, hold on, glasses. It's 17.
Oh, it's 17. 2017 is even better. Even better.
Yeah. What year that was? But no, I always drink Rioja. You can't beat a Spanish red wine. Nice and fruity, nice and strong. I went into Morrison's because The Campavio is normally on special there. That's my favourite. And the problem was it was down to £6 a bottle from like £8.50. And it was that good a deal. There was fucking none left by the time I got there. There was literally nought. I was like, for fuck's sake. So I ended up paying an extra 50 pence for Morrison's favourite, their best Rioja. Yeah, I paid £6.50 for it. I won't pay more than I don't like to pay more than £7 for a bottle of wine. I'm not a connoisseur.
You've got some voucher though. He said it's a Spanish man's wine. Ginger became. He says, "Don't drink wine from 2020." It's probably been coughed on that year.
I bet the hangover's a right bastard, isn't it? But yeah, if it's Rioja and it's wet, I'll drink it. I'll give it a go anyway. It's got the point where red wine doesn't give us a headache the next day, as long as I just have red wine.
See, I always used to have major wine hangovers if, like, I went out with my mates, because we'd go out, like, you know, if it was like a deal, 2 bottles for X amount, and they go, we just order 2 bottles, and they go, how many glasses you want, and we just fucking laugh at them because we were drinking around the bottle.
Mate, you should see it when you see them, just the one. And they're like, respect.
We used to drink some.
I'm not saying I finished them, mind. I'm not saying I finished it as I'm crawling out.
We used to drink some. We'd go for the cheapest because we do cheapest with the highest percent alcohol. Me and my mates just to get pissed, and we'd be walking around like the bars and that, just drinking out of a wine bottle like this.
Oh,
classic.
I mean, don't get us wrong. I'm from the northeast, but even I don't go that low. Well, maybe if nobody's looking, but never in a bar.
Well, we didn't give a fuck. We got no. Look at my hair. I've got no shame anyway.
To be fair, after Sion was talking to us the other day, it's a lot better than what it used to be.
Oh, me fucking perm.
How did you know?
Because everyone goes on about my perm. That was the stuff. See, yes. You know what it is? My missus will like buy this hair kit for herself, and I'll just go, "Oh, I'll try that." So I had the perm for a bit. Then when I
do you know what the mistake was? You let people take photographs. That was it.
Well, I made videos with, but you know what my plan was? Is I wanted the perm to grow really long and be down the sides, and it never quite happened. It just stayed like a Bob Ross afro on the top.
You see, you want to be like Slash, but it kind of yeah. You just got microphone.
That was the look I was dreaming for eventually. But in the end, I just grew it long. I dyed it blonde during the last lockdown, or the first lockdown, because I got bored and I was retro brighting some console. So I bleached my hair with the rest of the stuff that was left.
Well, this probably doesn't increase your rating any much, but as far as I'm concerned, I think it looks alright. I think you're suited. But there you go. But it's because I've only ever seen you with that. Do you know what I mean? So.
Well, funny story. My work, they've signed a new contract for a local council, and they wanted to shave my beard off, and I've had this beard for 7 years, and I've just flat out refused to, because I don't like my face without the beard, so I weren't shaving it off. So I've actively convinced them that I've got it's a religious beard.
Oh no!
Swear to God, they all think now.
Do you get extra time off and get a prayer?
No, it's a pretty shit religion that I've picked. It's Norse heathen. So basically, I believe in.
Fuck! I thought you were going to go Islam.
No. But you know what? The best thing is I even bullshit.
Not that there's anything wrong with Islam, and
Well, everyone would assume I do that. But because I have my head shaved and everything, I said, yeah, it's all part of my belief, and I wear my hair like a Viking because that's my belief and all that. And no sooner I mentioned the word religious beard, I haven't got a shave anymore.
I was listening, I think it was one of the swap shops, and that's the first place I ever saw Champion 2D Rob.
Yes.
And he was on one of them where you didn't normally have a beard, and then apparently someone said to him something along the lines of, "Mate, you need to shave that off because you look like a fucking ISIS or something like that." And then he says he lets it grow, then he shaves off, and he just starts again. So for me, I've only known him since he's had the beard. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to look weird as fuck when it's gone.
He's a giant of a man as well, Rob. If you ever get to meet him in person, he's a giant man.
I like him personally. He says it how it is. he does see a lot of things. We were watching the stream the other night about was it on the VHS bootleggers. I was watching that stream the other night, and my brother-in-law, he's like a huge Double Dragon fan, and wow, it got no love at all from Rob. Like, he fucking. But to be fair, he was kind of right. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it should have been at least as good as Renegade. For me, Renegade is the best 8-bit like fighter. Not on the Commodore 64, by the way, because it's absolutely dog shit on there. Play IK Plus or something like that.
Vouter saying he's
sorry, I needed to take a breath there.
No worries. Rob doesn't change his opinion because to agree with someone, and that's why I like Rob. If he believes something, he'll stick to it. Pretty much like myself. Sometimes I think some people think I might do it to be argumentative. There is a slight truth in that sometimes. I won't lie. But
can't argue with that. I'm guilty.
He's honest. So anyway, we'll go back to your gaming history. You was at the Amiga. So when did consoles come in your life? I'm guessing after the Amiga.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I held on to the Amiga as long as possible. By this point, I was really into games more like Championship Manager and Football Manager, and they kept updating them. And like at the time, I was studying and stuff, so it was good to be able to play a game like that where my dad's talking about outside, and he's like hearing for like, you know what I mean, like explosions and shit like that. But obviously, I'm just on the mouse on the computer. I'm pretending to do my homework and whatever. So that went on, and then. I heard about the Sony PlayStation, and I thought, I was never, although I did have the Master System, at the time you didn't have nostalgia for it because it was only a couple of years before, so it was just a system I owned. I never owned a Nintendo, so yeah, I heard about the PlayStation, and I managed to be one of the lucky people that I saved up as soon as I could. And I sold the Amiga, and I went for like a while without a system, and then I managed to get the PlayStation 1, and absolutely loved that. It come with their demo 1, like a dinosaur that was like.
Oh my god! Everyone
did
the dinosaur.
It blew me away. Blew me away.
The stingray, and the dinosaur.
That's right.
That. Whenever I mention the PlayStation 1, I always mention Demo Disc 1.
Demo 1.
Because the whole controlling that dinosaur, even the cameras to change the angle and stuff like that.
Spin man. Do you know what? It's something I haven't got in my collection, and I do collect nostalgic things for the PlayStation 1, and I've got a box one over there, but it ain't got Demo 1.
You've got a Demo Disc 1 on your way to you, because I've got about 3 in the shed.
Oh, mate. Oh,
you're more than welcome.
I didn't know that, by the way. I didn't know that.
No, mate. I've got a ton of them because, like you, whenever I see one, I pick them up. But I've got about 3 or 4 of them. So you've got one; it's on the way to you.
Oh, cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. You're a star. But yeah, so yeah, it was definitely the PlayStation, and like the PlayStation was what introduced me to my favorite, I suppose it's a genre now, but at the time it was a series, and that was Resident Evil. Like, I just absolutely love Resident Evil. Like, I'm not too good with like reaction games, like shoot 'em ups and stuff like that, but I like games that make us think. And Resident Evil with like the puzzles, and it was the backdrops. Like, even Resident Evil 1, I mean, I know the voice acting is absolutely shocking, but for me, it's kind of part of the charm of the game. Like, I sit there and I fucking laugh at it now, and I'm like, oh my god, that is so bad. You know what, though? It's good.
People take this piece out of the voice acting and that, but what you've got to remember is what we had before was really limited speech in games.
Or you'd be reading text.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So even shit voice acting for that period of time, you probably, everyone looks back now how shit it is, but when you were playing it at the time, you didn't care because you were immersed in that game, and it was a whole new experience with CD sound sort of thing. Like,
at the time, I didn't realize how bad it was.
Yeah.
Simply because I was just amazed by hearing. I didn't give a shit. It's not until like maybe, I don't know, when did it come out? Like 97, 96, 97, something like that. It was probably only like mid to late 2000s, 2010 when I'd look back on the game and I was like, fucking hell, that is really bad. And I was like, but you know what? It doesn't matter. Like, that to me is the nostalgia. Like, my nostalgia, I've noticed over the years, comes more from like the music in games. It seems to drive it more than the memories of the games. I suppose everyone remembers things in different ways, but for me, lucky enough to have a Commodore 64, which is the best sound chip of any of the 8-bits, and some of the stuff that we had in there was just mind-blowing, really. It's brilliant.
What I'll say with like Resident Evil, the first two especially, and Silent Hill, those games built atmosphere and engrossed you. I remember playing them fondly. I mean, I'd play them along with my brother because my brother was older. We both had PS1s. I think number 2, Resi 2 on the PS1, for that generation and era, is the definitive game, I'd say.
Definitely. Can I just say, even though I've got the 7 on VR, my favourite Resident Evil game is Resident Evil 2 on the PlayStation 1. I mean, the amount of effort they put into that game. Like, each character has got like 2 different ways, I think, maybe more, of completing the game. And you've got like 2 different characters on 2 different discs, playing it from each side of the... Like, you don't know why something's happened until you do it with the other person. And then you can play it again with like extra characters. And honestly, I, as far as I'm concerned, that is the best game on the PlayStation 2. I absolutely love that game.
I wouldn't go far. I love Metal Gear Solid as well. Metal Gear Solid.
Yes, all right, fair one. It's a different game, but if Resident Evil 2 didn't exist, then that probably would be my favourite game on the PS1.
I had 2 days off school when that game came out to complete it, and I told my mum.
Were you?
No, I told my mum. I said, "Mum, I've paid like nearly 50 quid for this game. There's no way I'm going to school till I've fucking completed it." And my mum just let me off. Like, I didn't even try and blag it. I just told her what I was doing. I said, "I'm playing Resi 2, Metal Gear Solid, sorry," and that's what I did.
I only buy games that I'm trying to only buy games that are really nostalgic, and I've got Metal Gear Solid there. For me, it was the fact you could smoke a tab while in the box. I just thought that was awesome. I'm this fucking cardboard box crawling around. Nobody knows.
My favourite thing was the knock on the wall to get someone to come and have a look.
Oh, hi there. Huh? What's that? It's me knocking on the wall, dickhead. Hurry up, will you?
What I will say is, you know, going back to the bad voice acting of Resi 1, I almost wonder, and I'd love to know if that was deliberate to give it that like B-movie feel, that zombie B-movie feel.
No,
I don't know if it was, or
I don't think it was. I'm sure I watched a video. It might have been maybe like Kim Justice, or it wasn't Pete Retro Tip. It wasn't him. There's just someone done like a documentary video on YouTube about it, and like there was something fucked up, and basically they got the scripts at the last minute, and they just had to get anyone. Like they didn't even have a clue. I think it was actually done in Tokyo, and it was just like, "Can you speak fucking English?" Yes, you've got the job. Honestly, I'm not sure if it's that, but it was something maybe around them lines. Surely it can't be actors, right? Like, surely it just can't be. Even
how many English actors probably were in Tokyo? Not many. We've got a couple of questions on this.
The shit ones.
Vouter wants to know what VR headset you use. I'm guessing that's for Resi 7.
PSVR.
Yes,
PSVR on a PlayStation Pro, on the PlayStation Pro. But I see now you can get for a normal PlayStation 4, and it comes with like an extra box or something like that. Comes like an extra, so like you could only do PSVR on a PS Pro originally, but I think. Unless I've been, I might have been blagged here, I don't know. But someone was saying that you can do PSVR on a normal PS4 now. But yeah, I mean,
think you always do it on a normal PS4. It was just better on VR. I think it was just better on VR.
Well,
I'm pretty
you
sure.
can buy something now that comes with like an extra box, like a processor or something in, which like maybe makes it the equivalent, possibly better than I don't know, but it looked pretty good. But yeah, as much as I'm into retro gaming, I very rarely play the PS3. I didn't used to play the PS2, but I've set it up for my son because he likes the Lego games, Lego Batman, Star Wars, Indiana Jones. So I do play a bit of that, but before then I'd never very rarely touched it. And I do play the PS1 occasionally, but the PS4 after the like Grand Theft Auto thing wore off, and then I got the VR. I massively love VR. Is it Air Combat 7? Ace Combat 7? Like it's got a VR. It's got a VR part of that, and I've streamed it a couple of times live. I love streaming VR games, but I just don't do it enough. Like I've just got today, Hitman 3 arrived, and from what I've heard, you can play 1 and 2 in VR. I think.
I didn't know that. The game I want to try is I picked it up the other week in that bundle is the Star Wars Squadrons because I've heard there's a VR level in that. It
is fucking solid. I bought it. I bought it off a guy called Sean French. He's my friend on Facebook. Like massively into his Commodore 64. I'm pretty much getting to know him through having a chat with I'm in like a chat with him on a Facebook group. And I think he had it like a week or two, got sick of it, so he sold it on. So I bought it purely just for the VR. In fact, I think it is a VR game, right?
Yeah.
Can you play third person, or is it VR only?
Let me have a look.
Surely they'd put a
it's
ship
compatible.
In it. So it is.
It's compatible, but
I suppose they can always step it back and put a ship in, can't they? Do you know what I mean? Like you're totally limiting your audience to a VR game, I suppose, for a physical release anyway.
Yeah,
but I think I played that, and do you know? See if you can guess what the first thing I done was. The first thing I played.
I don't know, but I'll tell you what the very first thing I did when I played a VR game was. I played Gran Turismo. What do you think I did? The very first thing. Looked at the back seat. That fascinated me. In fact, because imagine when you're playing games, you're always looking forward, right?
No, it's true. I do it. What's the other one? What's the other racing game on the VR? Oh my god, I can't remember now. It's not Burnout. Is it Burnout?
No, is it the Drive Club?
Yes, Drive Club VR. Well, where I used to have to drive to work. When I used to work like offshore a little bit on the west coast of Scotland. You drive past the castle where Highlander was filmed, and you drive this road, and you go over the Sky Bridge. And I've drove this like a lot of times. And in Drive Club VR, they have got that track, and I must admit, it is as realistic as you can get. Honestly. Every turn in the road, even going through the village, you come to the bridge. I mean, all right, there's not a roundabout. It's like a sweep left-hander, stuff like that. But apart from that, like I bought that game because I thought, well, this is a perfect test for me. I've drove that road like 100 times. I'm going to do it in VR, and it was a really, really, really good. It was a really good conversion of real life. Brilliant.
What was the first thing you did in Squadrons? Was it try and look at your feet? That's another thing I try and do.
I totally forgot about that. No, the first thing I done was got in a TIE fighter. I got in Darth Vader's TIE fighter and killed as many fucking rebel scum as I could. And that's the God's honest truth.
Brilliant.
I was it's great when you get a game where you can choose to be a good guy or a bad guy. But even if you choose to be on the dark side, I can already see it's trying to like push it to be, do you know what I mean? Like rebelling. And I'm like, no, fuck that. I want to be on the bad side. Like sometimes I like it when a bad guy wins. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. Especially like someone like Vader.
Heat. Like, Val Kilmer gets away, doesn't he? He gets away with the
Yes.
money. And I really wanted Robert De Niro to get away with it. And I didn't want Pacino to get him, but that's a whole other story. I do.
But
like
with the VR, when you play, what I found is once I played Gran Turismo after because you only limited tracks, or you was when I used to be able to play. As a driver, you fall into the mode of checking your mirror
all the time
on the actual car. Whereas when I play in a game, I always have the third person view of the car because I don't like being in the cockpit, but it forces you to be in the cockpit in VR. But then I was like checking my mirrors and stuff like that, and
part of me training in the British Army was being able to drive lorries. And if there's one thing you learn from driving a lorry, it is you have to check your mirrors. And even if you don't, you've got to pretend you're checking them. So since that moment, I'm fucking hell, I've got a sore neck. Even if I'm driving to the shop, I'm like, I'm fucking looking left and right. It's just one of them. It's just what you train to do. So yeah. But I have got another story about VR. Basically, because I'm like a massive Resident Evil fan, when I saw that Resident Evil 7 was VR, that's my wife. She loves like playing the Eagle.
I had a feeling it was.
It's a cracking game. It's great for kids, but they're only allowed to play for 10 minutes if they're under 12 years old. And it's really, like, we've got one that's 12 now, Imogen. So like the problem is it's difficult to explain to the younger ones why they're only allowed like 10 minutes. And even I'm controlling it while they're like trying to fly, or do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. But yeah, the kids absolutely love it, but it's meant to mess with the like spatial awareness if they play too much VR before that part of the brain is finished doing what it needs to do, which certainly is by 12. But getting back, the first VR game I got was Resident Evil 7. Like, massive Resident Evil fan. I already had I'm sure I already had the game. It's absolutely wrecked the box because my mother-in-law's dog ate the box. So no one would ever buy it of us. So I'm stuck with it for life, which is fine by me. Like I'm genuinely happy it happened to a game that I love anyway. And Resident Evil 7, the first time I played it, if you play the PSVR, it does get really warm sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can get like,
I always have a tab on. I always have a tab on.
Like, do you know what? I'm going to have to turn this radiator down. I'm fucking roasting. I can see the electric meter going. But yeah, Resident Evil 7, I bought the VR just for that. First night I was playing it, I was proper enjoying every second. I wasn't like diving in. Like, I knew it was the first time I played it, so I was fucking, even though I knew I had to go around the house, get in the door, I'm checking every nook and cranny just for anything goes into the house. And I think in the end I got my arm chopped off, and there's this fucking psycho bitch in there. It was fucking kicking off. And my wife's like, she taps us on the shoulder, and I was like, okay, just chill out, mate. And I'm like, because I had the headphones in as well, and I'm like, what's up? And she's like, oh, I'm going to bed. Will you be long? I'm like, no, I'll get the next bit. I can save it, and I'll come to bed. Right, okay. So I puts my fucking headphones back on, and I'm playing the game, and all of a sudden I just felt something like just glance me face, just touch me face. So the first thing you do is jump back, and I was like, fucking hell. And I was angry immediately. I was like, which fucking knob's done that? Pulled it off. Nobody there. And I was like, fucking, absolutely, like, I'm a person who loves horror films, but at this point I was like, fuck me, man, that was proper ropey. And I was like, I know something touched my face. And I remember I looked at the seat, like at the sofa, and the cat was there, and the cat was just sat looking at us. And I was like, oh, you know what happened there, didn't you, you little bastard? Like, and there's no way that you can tell. And I was just like, and honestly, I took the headset off, the headphones, and I turned it off, and I went up to bed. And I think our last was like, oh, like, you weren't as long as I thought you were going to be. And I was like, fucking, you will not believe what's just happened to me. I was playing the game, I was proper shitting myself, and I was like, something fucking touched my face. And then obviously everyone thought, oh, you're just being a drama queen. Like, it was fucking hilarious. And next day, like, end up going to sleep. Next day, gets up, goes downstairs, and I'm like, where's the fucking cat? Like, the cat's gone. I was like, the cat was definitely here. And I'm like, I'm looking around for the cat, no cat. I was like, oh, well, never mind. He's done one. Went in the kitchen and went to put the kettle on to make a brew. And he's the cat at the back door. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So I unlocks the door, opens the door, the fucking cat comes in, meow, 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 kicking me off. I'm like, mate, I don't even know. And I'm thinking, obviously, she's getting up during the night. Something must have happened while I was asleep. She's let the cat out. So what? Oh, Jesus. Sorry. That's bedtime for the phone. Well, that would be bedtime for the kids. Working, you know what I mean? I'm a dad during the day. So I goes back into the front room and I closed the kitchen door and I seen the curtains moving. I was like, what the fuck? Opened the curtains and the window is wide open. Now, I might have forgot that I'd had like 1 or 2 drinks at this point the previous night. And I'd completely forgot that I'd opened the front living room window. So where I'd put my seat, because you've got to be in like a certain position in front of the fucking camera on the PSVR, and because I was roasting, I remember getting up and opening the window and then closed the curtains and sat back down, and then I completely forgot about that. So I was like, right, it's experiment time. And I had our last open and closing the fucking door at the top of the stairs to the bedroom with the window open, and you could see the fucking curtain moving. So basically, when she went upstairs to go to bed, like, I don't know if she was pissed off or what, but I don't think she wasn't. But she must have fucking closed the door and just, I don't know whether the wind blew or something at the same time, but the chair was still there. I left the chair and everything, and the curtain did go past me face. So all it was the fucking curtain just swiping me face. But by the time I shit myself, took the fucking thing off, there was nothing there. There was nothing there, mate.
Brilliant.
I think I've only played it for about 15 minutes since.
I was going to say, you weren't going to call in the Exorcist, was you, after that then?
It was close, man. I'm actually atheist. Yeah, religion's just too much hassle. It causes too much shit, so I don't deal with any of that.
I agree with that. So if it saves your beard, if it saves your beard,
hey, I mean, 7 billion people can't be wrong, right? I think there ain't many of us.
My missus did actually say to me, she goes, you do have to accept like a religion thing now if you're going to be this Norse heathen or something. I said, yeah. I said, I'm believing in Thor. I said, I think I can cope with that. I've seen the Avengers.
Oh, don't spoil it for us. I've only seen the first. We started watching them in order, but there's that many that they're in. Fucking hell, is there like 9 or 10, 11 films or something you've got to watch? And you start off with Iron Man, I think it is. I
was going to say he's in Iron Man, one of the
first. Or the Hulk and stuff like that, isn't it? You've got to. As much as I love the films, and we just overdone it. We overkilled it. It was like one after one after one, and I just got fucked off with it again. So I'm yet to go back to it. But out of the whole series, I would say. I mean, is it? We're having this conversation like which is the best, DC or Marvel? But for me, I love Deadpool. I think Deadpool is absolutely brilliant.
I'm not massively into superheroes at all, but the characters I like are Deadpool and the Punisher. Like basically,
mate, you've just gained a subscriber. My brother-in-law is nuts about the Punisher. And he is the only person who's killed Deadpool.
I'm trying to think. I like the Punisher film. Oh God, the one with I think Summit Jane. Summit Jane is the main actor.
I haven't seen any of them.
Early 2000s. It's a brilliant film.
I haven't seen any of them, but I've got a strange feeling I'm going to. Because my brother-in-law loves it, man.
What I'd say with the VR though, anyone who's not experienced VR, there is no more frightening feeling when someone shouts you or something or tries to get your attention when you're in VR. Because I watch films on my PS VR sometimes. Like,
did you not watch any of the World Cup?
I didn't.
In
know.
Russia? Oh,
no.
It was amazing. You could go behind either goal So behind either goal or in the middle, and you had like a little virtual reality screen that come down with all the stats, and you were literally behind the goal. And if you turned your head and you had headphones in, it would know, like if they were cheering, you'd be able to hear it in this headphone, and then you would hear it in this one. Honestly, I do not big up the BBC ever, but on the World Cup coverage through VR, I was watching Spain against Portugal, and I was behind the goal when Cristiano Ronaldo scored to make, I think it was 3-2. Fuck me, even I was diving in the air. I was literally behind the goal with all the fans. It was just superb. It was brilliant. But
what I will say with the VR as well, you just mentioned there, the sound, the whole 360 sound is mind blowing.
It's brilliant. They're reckon it's compatible with the PS5 as well, although they will bring out a new one, probably a wireless one, but it is meant to be compatible with it.
That is a definite. They probably need a wireless one now, 100%.
Yeah.
But I play games online that aren't meant for VR in VR, like with just the big screen.
Yeah. I enjoy FIFA because it's like it must be like 100 fucking inch screen.
I play COD and it makes a massive difference, that 360 sound, like to know whether they're below me,
where the rounds are coming from.
Yeah. I remember the first time I played it because
I've experienced that in real life, man. It's not nice.
Well, I was playing Fortnite, just running around, cartoon character, got the VR headset, just testing it out. Next thing I know, there's this sniper bullet. I fucking literally shit myself. Whoa, what the fuck? But
in real life, when that happens in real life, the first thing you do is throw yourself to the ground and then think, can I feel all my fingers and toes? Right, yeah, I'm okay. That honestly, it's happened to me once, and it is one of the most. It was actually at that moment when I realised that I really need to leave the army. I'm not getting paid enough for this shit. That was my first thoughts. I do not get paid enough for this shit.
I can fucking
and there's
imagine.
No weapons of mass destruction here.
you was wasting your time.
There was no weapons of mass destruction. Like I went to Iraq, I had some experiences there. It makes me appreciate life a lot more. Put it that way. It really does.
So we've had your console history. What made you become a collector when obviously you weren't collecting when you're in the army, I imagine? So where did the collecting side come from things?
Yeah, like the whole time in the army, I went through the PS2, the PS3, PS4. I've always bought the PlayStations unreleased. This is the first time that I've got no interest in buying a current generation. Although I have got a Switch, which is still current generation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was maybe about 4 years ago. I think I'd done something to me back at work, and I'd napped me back, and I had a load of time off, and I was bored. I think I was laid up in bed. Like I was on different tablets to try and sort me back out. And as you do, you're scrolling through Facebook, and I was on Marketplace, and I seen a Commodore 64 come up, and I was like, "Oh man, that'd be awesome. That'll get us through the next few weeks." Do you know what I mean? We saw. Thank you. It was a pleasure. It really was.
You mean to the army, not to YouTube?
No, I know. Like when you make friends in the army, you make friends that are willing to lay down their life for you. So you make some really, really good friends in the army. And I haven't been able to see them for a couple of years due to COVID. But I'll be at the next Army Navy rugby match at Twickenham, which is where we all get together and we all get pissed and we just have 24 hours of being squaddies again. And I'm really looking forward to that. It's been cancelled for this year already, but fucking next year I'll be there no matter what. I really hope so. But yeah, it really was a pleasure. I enjoy my time in the army looking back on it now. At the time, there was a lot of not so great moments, but I would still recommend it to anyone out there who's struggling to find a job or wants to try a trade or something like that. There's a lot of trades in the army. People don't realise that. Not everyone's on the front line. They need people to fix tanks and airplanes and the RAF, do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So there's a lot of trades out there, and and you're doing your bit for the country as well. So, but anyway, getting back to the Commodore 64, yeah, I saw this Commodore 64 come with a disk drive. So I went over and he was like, "Oh, I'm not sure if it's working or not." I think I paid about 40 quid for it because he wasn't sure. Took it back. Disk drive, Commodore 64 wasn't working, so I had to like look into how to fix it, how to repair it, and like you with the Amstrad, looking for like a hot chip. Luckily for me, well, or unluckily, it was the seed chip. The seed chip was actually stopping it from working. It must have been like a dead short, which just like wiped out the computer. So took that out, ordered a Armacid, which is like a replacement one. Put that in because when I took the SID chip out, the computer worked fine, but there was no sound. So I knew it was a SID chip straight away because it was like socketed. So yeah, I got a replacement, and it came with like about 40 discs, and each one must have had like 3 or 4, if not more, games on. And that was me. Like, you know, I was happy from then until I got back to work. And then I was like, oh, like I remember the first games I got when I was a kid. That's when like the nostalgia hits you. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, right, what was the first game I played? It was either Mission Impossible, Golf. Do you know what I mean? And then I went through the list. So they were the first games I bought. And the Platoon one that I bought, as in back in the day as well, was a Hit Squad one. And that was the first Hit Squad game that I bought back as well. So it kind of went full circle. Like we'd had about 30 years between it, but yet again, I bought my first ever Hit Squad Commodore 64 game. And that's where it started. It was all downhill from there.
So obviously, you talk a bit there about the Hit Squads. When did that like passion start?
So
is it the whole number thing? Is it the same thing as with the Evercade? It's that uniformity in the numbers.
Well, I haven't got the same feeling. Like I've got a few Evercade games here, but I've only got 2, 9, and 12, and I'm not interested in buying the other ones. I'm interested in buying the games that I'm going to enjoy. Really hope they bring an Amiga cartridge out, by the way. But I think it's like anyone who starts with the Hit Squads, you look through them and you see which games are cheap and you see which games that you enjoyed, and you buy them, and then you think, fucking hell, I've got like 12, 13, 14 games here. Like, I wonder how many's in the set. And then you look and it's like 100 and 123, something like that. And then you look online, you look on eBay, and you just see fucking hundreds of these for sale. And then one night you'll have a little bit too much to drink, maybe a bottle of wine or whatever, something like that. I'm not saying this is what happened, but you have a bottle of wine, and then you think, do you know what? Fuck it. Like you hear about someone else going for a full set, and you think, yeah, I think that might be possible. So you go to buy a load, and for me, luckily for me, I got the hardest game to get on the Commodore 64 when like literally the 3rd or 4th game in. But at the time, I had absolutely no idea. I didn't know. In fact, I think he had it for sale for about 15 or 14 quid. And I sent him an offer for 10, and they accepted 10 because I begrudged paying more than 10 quid for a Hit Squad game. Hi, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, that was for Lethal Weapon on the Commodore 64. Fuck knows how much it would go for. I mean, I've heard that people have wanted like 400 or 500 quid for it.
Fuck, you know.
Which is just nuts. But it does become an obsession. It's not about the numbers. You don't give a shit about the numbers. You just fill in the gaps. You fill in the gaps and fill in the gaps. And then you'll get down to the last 10. And you're like, I'm down to double figures. And then you want to get down to single figures. Then you're down to single figures. And then you're looking for the cheapest out of them. You're like, well, fucking hell, what can I get just to get a bit lower? And then it's at that point when you realise there isn't any lower. Like every one of these is going to be like really difficult. But luckily for me, I think because like Instagram and Facebook, like I was on a lot of groups. I just put an advert, like a thing up saying, has anyone got any like Hit Squad Commodore 64 games? Because at this point I was solely collecting Commodore 64 games. I didn't even have a Spectrum at this point. And then I got a guy who responded called Andy Roberts. And it turned out Andy Roberts had done, I think, a little bit of work for Zap 64 possibly. But then he started to work for Commodore Format. And he used to do like the maps, like walkthrough maps. And he used to make them for the magazines. And eventually he got a job working for the magazines, and they used to get sent Hit Squad games and stuff like that, like to review. And he kept a lot of this stuff, and then he moved to Canada, which is like where I used to live when I was in the army. I spent a lot of time in Canada. And he answered me call, and we just got a bit of a thing going. Like, he was in Canada, I used to live there. He was really into Commodore 64, but he told me like he was involved with Thalamus as well. Oh, Jesus Christ. What's some of the games that they've done? Creatures 1 and 2. I mean, they've done some fucking beautiful games for the Commodore 64, and he was involved with them. And he's like, look, he went like, I've pretty much got. These are the games I've got, and I wasn't greedy. Did he send them all? I'm not sure if he did. Do you know what? He might have. He might have sent them all. In the end, we'll come up with a price that worked for him and it worked for me. And this was before, like, the last probably 12 months has been a massive boom. I think it's because people are not going out on the piss. They've got money to spend on stuff. And do you know, they want something to make them feel happy. When was I happy? When I was a kid. When I was a kid, I used to play these games. And I think that's fueled the price of, like, retro gaming. But this was before then. And when it came through customs, oh my God, I got a bill for like 50 quid. And I was fucking devastated. But you know what? If I take that 50 quid now and put it towards, I've had to insure that. I've insured me Commodore 64 collection. I insured it for £2,000 because I've seen the games go for like 12, 13, 1400, 1500 quid for 3 of them games. It's madness. Yeah, he's got a point.
I disagree with that because, with no disrespect, a lot of you hardcore Hit Squad collectors, you're all under 10,000 subs, I think. So
Probably,
I think it's more of people noticing on eBay. See, because what happens is once there's been one bidding war on that game,
do you know what?
It inflates. Because as a seller myself, if I get an item I don't know, I look what the last few have sold for. So no sooner one goes for X amount, then the
that's a benchmark.
Boom, 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 it cascades like that.
To be fair, they're coming down again now. I think it also depends who's collecting and how much money they've got. And if you get two guys who've got a lot of money and they've got a lot of money to throw at it and they're bidding against each other, it'll falsely increase the prices for a while until they've both got what they need to get. And then it comes down to us fucking paupers. Do you know what I mean? Like, people will be putting, let's say, Adam's Family for fucking 200 quid on the Commodore 64. And it'll be there for 10 months, like the one that's been there for about 10 months. And eventually they'll go, do you know what? There's been like 2 sold for under 95 quid. And I found it for fucking £2. I'm just going to fucking sell it. And eventually they'll get to that point. But it just takes a lot longer for certain people to come to reality. But I also do think,
I imagine if you went
success
back,
has been. I think if it wasn't for people doing it on YouTube and Facebook, then other collectors who've got more disposable income wouldn't have took interest, and then the prices might have not went as high as what they did. Like, for me, Scott, Sega Zombie, he sold out at probably almost the best time. Like, when he said he was like, I only started watching him because he collected Hit Squad. Like, I didn't know about the UK YouTube scene at all, and one of the reasons why I watched him was because he had Hit Squad games. And even though they were Spectrum, I didn't give a shit. I was like, it's Hit Squad, and I wanted to see about them. And that's how I met Scott, and that's how I ended up here. I messaged him and said, I've got all this shit lying around here. I fancy trying to start a channel.
What I'd say, what I'd say with the hit squads is, I reckon 5-6 years ago, you could have probably got them all for real cheap because
you probably will in about 10 years' time when nobody gives a shit anymore.
You saying Scott sold at the right time. If in theory he kept that money to one side, he sells up, keeps that money X amount for one side. I know that's all he's doing. He's putting in another collection, but hypothetically speaking, say he kept that money to one side for 3-4 years, and then said, "Right, that money I'm going to buy the exact same games that I had." He would still have more money left, if you know what I mean, because I think the prices will have come down that much by then.
Maybe. I mean, time will tell. I mean, what
because as you say, it's a niche market. Once all those collectors have got their sets, those games then become not devalued, but they find their correct level again.
Like when people are coming to that age, they're not finding those games nostalgic. They'll be finding PS1 games nostalgic.
Oh, that's already happening now. I say,
well, exactly. It's moving. Life moves on. Life moves on. But it depends what you buy them for. Are you buying them for what it's worth, or are you buying them for nostalgia, like for what it means? For me, like I only insure it in case the worst happens. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, I'll never like unless things got really, really bad. I would never sell that set. It doesn't matter unless someone said like a stupid amount of money. But even then, even if they come in with a stupid amount of money, it wouldn't be a split decision. It would have to be something I'd be like, fucking hell, I've worked so hard and I was so lucky to complete that set. Like I've started the Amstrad, the Spectrum, Commodore 16, the Atari 800, the MSX. Like if it's a tape and it's a hit squad, I'll collect it. I've even got ones that are like kind of homebrew. Do you know what I mean?
I know. I've seen them ones. That guy who he's done about 8
Carlos, yeah, you done 8, but he's missing. Well, it's 1 to 9. It's missing number 8, so it takes after the Commodore 64 set, like how we miss a number 6. That's how I like to look at it anyway. It kills me OCD.
You've got a full set of the Commodore 64 hit squad, yeah?
Yes.
So, and are you out of like, because I know there's the hit squad collective group. I remember Paul, Mr. Bad's adding me. Everyone knows.
Yeah, he created the group. Yeah,
but they know I come into stuff quite a lot, and I'll move it on, sort of thing. So he added me, I think, more as a resource than a collector. But are you the one out of them all who's got the most sets?
No, I'd say Paul. Has, or Glenn. Sega Junkie.
Oh man,
Glenn. He posted photos today of his complete Commodore 64 set, and he's definitely got more. I think he's got a full Spectrum set, and he's definitely. Oh, do you know what? A lot of like you wouldn't believe how many people like have a not a good word to say about him. But at the end of the day, he's got a passion for retro gaming, and he's got disposable income. If I was in his position, I would probably be the same.
I don't know why anyone's got a bad word to say about him, to be fair. It's his collection.
Exactly.
Know.
But I
know he's got a lot of deals helping people ship stuff around the country as well.
Mate, as far as I'm concerned, he's my retro brother, because that's what he writes on his fucking letter to me. Like if he ever sends anything, he sent me at least 4, maybe 5 hit squad games completely free of charge. He hasn't charged me anything. I've tried to help him out as much as I can, where I've like when he was after certain games, I put it on my Instagram, or like because I run the hit squad collection on Instagram, and there's a lot of people who've got games to sell on there, and like I've tried my best to help him where I can. But yeah, he's gifted me them, and then during lockdown, just before Christmas, when like I sold me 3DO, like I wanted to get rid of that. I wasn't impressed with it really. It just wasn't for me. There was far too much FMV, and I wanted a Vectrex, as you know. Like I fucking love that thing. I played my friends, and as soon as I played his, I was like, I need that machine. Like, it was almost the same as that feeling for the Commodore 64 and the Amiga. It was like, it's a 1983 machine, but I really need it. There was one for sale down my mum's. Sold that. My mum went to get it. She was just happy to get out the house because of lockdown. She went and bought it, and I messaged Glenn, and I was like, "Look," I goes, "if anyone can get it from my mum down in Durham, all the way or Darlow up to here in Inverness," I was like, "You're the man." And he was like, "That's when I found out he was a massive Vectrex fan himself." And do you know what? He shipped it.
I didn't know that.
Mate, he's got the full set. He's got the whole games. He's got, I think, 3 different Vectrexes. I don't know if there's 2 or 3 different models or something like that.
Different brands. There's a Bandai one, which was Japanese, I believe. The Bandai green one. There's the MB, and then there's the MB with like black writing, an American version, I think. So
I'm sure he's got 3 different types. And he went, mate, he was like, to him, that was his Commodore 64. That was the first game. It was his most nostalgic piece. And he's like, "Oh, I can't believe you've got a Vectrex. Like, I'm really over the moon for you." And it was like, "What's your mum's address?" I sent my mum's address, and he just said, "Right, it's taken care of." And I was like, "Well, how much? Like, what do I owe you?" He wouldn't take a penny, and he shipped it from there to here. And that was like, for my family, like all my Christmas money I put in to buying it. And it's like, honestly, it's one of the best Christmas presents. I actually got something that I genuinely really, really wanted for Christmas. And Glenn was part of that. And you know what? He said, "Merry Christmas." And for me, like, how can you say a bad word against someone who does that for you?
To be honest, I've not seen anyone say bad word about me. This is probably on Facebook. I'm not very active, but I'd love Glenn to do a channel or just at least a tour of his or something, because I always mention he comes up on this stream loads because everyone mentions him in his collection because he shares it on Facebook. But I know his wife. I went to school with his wife, and he lives miles away from me because it's just random like that sort of thing. Because when I saw him on Facebook, he got one mutual friend at the time, and I was like, I went to school with her. You know what I mean? It was just a random thing, but I'd love to see his collection.
At the end of the day, he loves his retro. I mean,
I think a lot of it's jealousy.
Fucking hats off. Well, of course it is. Yeah,
a lot of it's jealousy.
I just didn't want to say that.
I'll say it, I don't give a fuck. You know, I think he's collecting his bonkers, but that's his collecting. Like, you know, like
every site I go to, he's there. I said it the other day. I can't even remember. It must have been something random, like Atari Lynx or something, and he's fucking there. I'm like, holy shit! Like, is he creating like a museum? Like, the fucking, do you know what I mean? Like, it must be real.
Like 6 copies of Jungle Book on the Mega Drive, and they're all slightly different variants. I'm like,
yeah, German, fucking Austrian or whatever.
But you know what? I think a lot of people might think he's showing off and all that, but I think it's fucking brilliant that he's sharing his collection. I do it, and that's probably where any negative comments come from. And it's
at the end of the day, when you do a pickups video, what are you doing?
Showing what I've got.
Exactly. But when you take a photo on Instagram of, oh, look, I fucking managed to get this subset. What are you doing? Like, you're happy with it, and you think other people will be happy to see it as well.
Yeah,
that's all it is. That's all it is. Just on a bigger scale.
To be honest, a lot of people say sometimes YouTube can be negative, but I find nothing more toxic than Facebook. It's why I rarely comment or write anything on there.
Twitter for me was a bad one. Like, I literally, the first thing it says in my Twitter profile is no politics. just no, not interested. That's not what I'm here for. But yeah,
I used to have shit with the Facebook groups because every Sunday or Saturday I'd post. What I'd do is I'd do like a teaser picture at the boot of my car, what I'd picked up that day, and I'd have idiots saying, "Oh, that's not what you've got today from the boot sale. You've just filled your car up and took a photo." I'm like, yeah, because that's what I thought.
Who can be asked to do shit like that? Just for your approval.
Just to get your back off, I'd post a fucking picture of my car boot full of shit. And And that's why I stopped posting on Facebook, and that's kind of why I come over to YouTube.
Do you know what? You're always going to get people that are like that. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter. There was people like that at school. There's people like that at work. There's people like that on YouTube. But my question is, when you're an arsehole, do you actually know you're an arsehole and you keep it up, or do you think you're normal and you just wonder why everyone fucking hates you?
You know what? I reckon there's going to be a point in there where the realization hits and you think I'm too far gone. I've got to carry on.
I'm a complete cunt. I may as well just crack on.
Are we all right to go over 10 minutes?
Mate, I'm good. Crack on.
Sound brilliant. We're going into overtime for the first time ever.
Yes, come on.
So my next bit of a question, other than the collecting, is what was the YouTube thing? You know, because you've come on in the last year, and
right. Well, I think like virtually. We had YouTube of the month last month. I'm not under any illusions. Like, I know I haven't won or anything like mental like that. But you know what? It was fantastic to be nominated, and it's really grown the channel. Like, fuck me, it's proper exploded. Like, I've getting like so many new subs and stuff like that. So, I just want to say a quick thanks to Lee for the Retro Chef for nominating us. Like, it was so out of the blue. Like, I literally just thought, are you fucking taking the piss or what? Like, I'm in my shed. But anyway, I first started because of lockdown. I'm well into me rugby. I love that. I was fishing. And a lot of these things that I'd normally be able to do in my spare time maybe wasn't there. And I built my shed the year before, and I bought like a few different like computers and like consoles and stuff like that to keep us busy. And I remember just setting up. I think I was trying to repair a Commodore 64, and I set up the iPad, and I was watching a video where I think it was the 8-bit guy, something like that, on restoring a Commodore 64, and it just went on to like the next video about it. And I ended up like completely fucking off the job I was doing and just sitting down and starting to search for stuff that I was interested in YouTube. And then eventually I come across Hit Squad stuff, and I used to watch a lot of American stuff. And it probably wasn't like, if we're talking about years, like maybe 2 years, probably wasn't until about 9 months in that I realized what there was like a community going on in the UK. I had no idea. I literally didn't know it existed. So I searched for Hit Squad. I was watching Mr. B8's, Sega Zombie, Cyber Snake Jim. There was a couple of other random videos as well. But then they would mention people in their videos, and I'd start watching them. And then it went from like probably 10% YouTube, 90% gameplay, to 70% YouTube and 30% gameplay and trying to repair stuff at the same time. Do you know what I mean? I end up watching more, like taking in more than what I was actually doing. And then, as I say, when lockdown happened and like I couldn't do the other interests that I had, I messaged, well, my brother-in-law came over and he was like, how do you fancy doing like a channel where we play games and stuff like that? And it was great. But because of lockdown, he was like living away from us, and we started off the channel together, and like he had a few difficulties with work and shit like that. So he left the channel, and it was then in my hands. And that's when I really pushed like Instagram and Facebook, and I just started like doing what I was interested in more. Like if you watch the beginning of the channel, there's a lot of like Nintendo gameplay and Mega Drive and stuff like that. And then it goes into Commodore 64, 8-bit, Master System, like because like I was in charge, so I could do what I wanted to do. It wasn't like a me and him thing. I was quite happy to do whatever he did and whatever I did. And like I was probably going to be like more Sega, he was going to be more Nintendo, a bit like GameSack, you know, something like that.
Yes.
But then when he left, it was kind of up to me. So yeah, I just cracked on. I had a passion for hit squads, so I started like hit squad videos, a lot of Commodore 64 stuff, and then me VR just what I was interested in really. It's just kind of went from there, and yeah, I was massively like, I've got a shitload of games for swap and sale, and I ended up talking to Lee Retro Chef, and honestly, since I went on there, the channel really has, like, I got invited onto the WhatsApp group and stuff, and met a lot of new people there, and through your oh Christ, what's it called?
Discord.
The Discord. Christ, I always forget. I still find it a bit difficult to navigate sometimes, like, but I'm getting there, you know, and you meet new people through that, and your channel grows, and I feel like I've got people who I can ask questions to now. Like, I've got a bit of support there. Before, I was just going like blindly, like, I don't know, maybe that's a test to see how blindly you can get. And then if they're like, well, fucking hell, to be fair, he's done all this shit by himself, so he must have a smidgen of talent in there somewhere. But if there's one person I've got to say thank you to, it's Scott Brand, Sega Zombie. I watch his channel religiously, and he was the person who I reached out to. I think everyone must have that person that they reach out to, and for me, it was Scott. And I had this message written out, and I was like, oh, he's going to think I'm like some sort of fucking stalker or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, as you do. And I sent him a message, and he was like, oh, yeah, that'd be fucking great. Like, download this for your iPad. You need this for your video. You need this to edit your videos. You have to make an intro. I'll help you with your intro. Send some photos and some music that you like. And do you know what I mean? He fucking proper helped me out. And it wasn't long after that someone said he was the pillar of the community, king of the community. And you know what? I couldn't have said better at the time. If it wasn't for him,
Scott, do you know Scott was the second king of the community?
Were you the first?
I fucking was. What I want to fucking know is, right, I handed that trophy over to him, and he said he's passed it on, and I don't know who the fuck he's passed it on to, because he's not turned up yet. There was this that was all started by Mark Burnt Out Culture, and it was a little tongue-in-cheek joke, because if you don't know, and you don't need to know, I had a lot of hassle with YouTube.
I have seen someone come on and say something about it, but it went over my head. I didn't really know what they were talking about.
So then Mark Burnt Out Culture made this little trophy, the king of the community one, and I was first reigning, and the only fucking thing I had to do was pass it on to someone, and I didn't last long.
Is it still there?
No, it's gone. And I pointed there because that's where it used to be, and I made this little thing like with a note, and just saying that you've got to write down who was like I was the first, then Scott. So I'm hoping he's passed it on. Like, but you totally when you join YouTube, you always remember those first few people who watched you and helped you out.
And Paul as well, Mr. Bads. Like it was the two guys that I watched for Hit Squads, and I was massively interested in their channels. And do you know what? They were both there for me. Like they really were. I think it helped that I was more of a Commodore collector. Maybe if I was a spec, it might be different. I don't know. But yeah,
no threat to our Hit Squad collection.
Totally. But yeah, they really helped me out in the beginning, and from that moment, it just kind of grew. It really did. Yeah, kind of grew. I literally can't believe that I'm sat here doing this with you right now. It's crazy, really. It really is.
I just want to say hello.
I'd have been sat watching this.
I just want to say hello to Carl, because Carl was, when I mentioned YouTubers who were great to me when I first started out, Carl was one of them. And it's great to see that Carl is back making videos. Check him out, Woodlin37. He's back on the tubes doing some pickups. Great guy. Go and check him out. And he might think I'm taking the piss, but when I used to hang out in his streams and like he used to reply to my comments, he made me feel welcome. So him, Tootie, Retro Red Steve, people like that at the beginning, they're the reason I'm here. you mentioned that, and it did make me laugh when I saw that you said I'd got the call up to be on, because to me this is just me talking with my mates. And
that was me. I was like, "Are you sure? Like, really? Like, what?"
Honestly, it's a great thing that I do with these streams. I do enjoy doing them, but I'm quite humble. I don't think of them as something special. But if I can present you to everyone to talk about what's going on and a bit about your channel, your journey,
I've enjoyed it as well. I totally enjoyed it. Like, I'm definitely one of the people who gets nervous before a live broadcast. It doesn't matter. Luckily today, like, I got laid off from work a few weeks, like about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and today I got asked to help out on my mate's job, and I've been there all day working away. And do you know what? It was the best thing ever. It took me mind off tonight completely. I don't know why. I always get nervous and this, that, and the other. But yet again, I just want to say, guys, if you get asked to do something like this, especially with you, Dana, after about 10 or 15 minutes, you completely forget that there's actually people watching out there. It's just a conversation between two mates.
Oh, mate, I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of people who said they get nervous, but once they come on, it's kind of easier to do.
Mate, I'm a trained killer, for fuck's sake. And yeah, I get nervous doing this. What's all that
about? I just, like, you know, I just sit here and talk, and if that's a relaxing thing and makes it a natural environment, then that's obviously a good thing at me. I don't know. This was just something that started out of lockdown that was just a natural thing that kind of rolled on, and it's just been something good, and it puts new channels out.
There you go. Yet again, it's another thing that's been. Everyone goes on about all the bad stuff that's happened through lockdown, and I know you've like had personal experience with lockdown, you know, negative, but at the same time, there is also been some positive stuff as well. I know it's not, it doesn't make up for the negatives, but you know, like for me, the community, the retro sphere, as I like to call it, I think it's really dug deep. Honestly, I've got a video coming out tomorrow, and it's a pickups video, and I think I've honestly got more things that's been gifted to me than anything else. And I'm not saying do shit like that, but it's like when they've offered something to me and I've sent something back to them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have to send something back, but like I honestly think that the retro gaming community, mostly within YouTube, is absolutely fantastic. I mean, you get the odd, you know, but you get that with everything. But for me, when you look at other communities, like online stuff, I think the retro gaming is probably one of the best. Well, I really do.
When I'm like you, man, I never feel comfortable when someone gifts me something and I've not sent something back. But the way I see it is I might gift someone else something and not get it back. And it's
good karma.
Karma, yeah, that's it. I totally believe in that. You know, and,
honestly, before I even started a YouTube channel, I thought karma was a complete load of absolute bollocks. Absolute bollocks. And it's not often I admit I'm wrong. Well, no, I will admit I'm wrong when I'm wrong. And I was wrong. There is good karma within our community. And long may it continue. Long may it continue.
Nice one, brilliant. Right, we're coming up to 12 minutes over. I just want to say thank you for coming on, poor man, and giving up your time. I know you.
I was worried what we're going to talk about, but fuck it, should we just go on?
Brilliant, mate. What I used to what I do is when I get you to sign off after I've thanked you for coming on, just a message to everyone who's watching, like, you know, any personal messages you want to send. The screen is yours.
Keep on gaming.
I like that.
Keep on gaming.
Thank you for coming on, mate. Literally, I could have gone on for another hour tonight, but I'm boxing for a slack.
Me too. It's good you're outside. I'm looking behind the shed.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for coming on, mate. I'll just drop you backstage now.
It's been a pleasure.
Brilliant, mate. what a great guy Paul is. The reason I carried on a little bit longer tonight, and thank you guys for staying and watching, is just because Paul's not been on here before and I wanted to get everything in to talk about. And you've been all let in on a massive spoiler, because whenever I finish these streams, I do always have a chat with a guest for a few minutes, but I am usually busting for a massive slash, and that's where I normally go straight after this. So again, YouTube, thank you all for watching. Please go and check out Paul's channel. I'll drop a link to his brother's channel as well. Go and check out his stuff. Check out his pickles video that's coming on tomorrow. And I'll see you all next week. Good night, YouTube. Don't have nightmares. Do sleep well.